we move we move into another news day, which means another news video. And we kick off tonight with some news on Impact Wrestling, as Impact Wrestling will have their next pay-per-view event tomorrow night, Impact Wrestling Rebellion, where we have two new champions set to be crowned, with both the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship and the Impact Wrestling World Championship currently vacant. Both that just means that two new champions will be crowned, as Steve Macklin and Kushida collide for the Impact Wrestling World title, and Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo vie for the Knockouts Championship, as Mickie James is out as Knockouts Champion, pulling out during the last Impact Wrestling tapings due to injury, and the injury is 100% legit. It is not a storyline injury. Also, it is not a form of retirement for Mickie James. When she is 100% healed and medically cleared to compete, she will be back on Impact Wrestling. It is just that she was not able to be medically cleared for the pay-per-view, so she is not a part of the pay-per-view because of that reason. And speaking of Impact Wrestling, a former Impact Wrestling a former Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, and also one of the only woman to win a world championship in a major wrestling promotion, in Tessa Blanchard, has been, I guess, in and out of the spotlight since her time in Impact Wrestling ended in early 2020. And not a lot of it has been good. You know, there were rumors of the possibility of her making the jump to WWE or AEW, but that fell on deaf ears, even with her dad Tully in AEW. But then there was what was it? A women's promotion built around her. And then she ended up leaving the women's promotion. It's been a bumpy road, but now she's doing a tour. Tessa Blanchard is doing a tour up in Canada, and it seems like she has returned to professional wrestling, and will look to make an impact again and attempt to reinvent herself. But alongside the discussion on how I would set up Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus for SummerSlam, and tomorrow, is also the preview for Impact Wrestling's next pay-per-view event, again, that being Rebellion. But also, now speaking of another former Impact Wrestling World Champion, and current former AEW star and Ring of Honor Trios champion, Brian Cage, has officially re-signed with AEW. It is unclear if the contract is, as you would say, under AEW or under Ring of Honor, but either way, it is a 5-year deal. I would guess that it may be just an under AEW contract, where he could fluctuate between working with AEW and working with Ring of Honor, because that way when the time comes, if Tony just wants to move the people back and forth, then he doesn't have to separate the contracts, which would be beneficial to Tony Khan. But, because when Claudio's done as Ring of Honor World Champion and you run the course with him as World Champion, you could have him jump back to AEW rather than having to do some legal stuff and jumping back and forth with this and that. It's an easier way to do it. I don't want to refer to Ring of Honor as AEW's developmental, but that's kind of what it allows. It kind of allows AEW to have a developmental in Ring of Honor. That's actually kind of what it allows. So, I mean, props to AEW for keeping a hold of Brian Cage. I mean, I think Brian Cage. I'm not sure that Brian Cage could be a world champion in a major company. I am not sure that he could be a world champion in a major company. But what I am sure is that Brian Cage does have potential to be a top star in a major company, and giving him that opportunity, I think he would be better off getting that opportunity in AEW rather than in WWE. Because in WWE, he would be just another big guy like Braun Strowman or Omos or Lashley, guys like that. But in AEW, he's got a lot less people like him, size-wise, to contend with, so it makes him stick out a little bit better. And, I mean, honestly, I could see Brian Cage becoming world champion in Ring of Honor. I just don't know if him becoming world champion in AEW is something that I would see. That's all I would say. Speaking of AEW, though, we jump over to the former AEW World Tag Team Champions and current Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. That being the Lucha Brothers, as Rey Fénix and Penta won the World Tag Team titles at Supercard of Honor on March 31st in the 5-way ladder match. Basically, Fénix is taking some time off to heal up because he's a little shaken up. He's a little banged up from his last title defense. The high-flying acumen of the Lucha Brothers has a way of taking effect. It has an effect on its, the high-flying style has an effect on the people who use it. And we've seen that over the last 30 years with Rey Mysterio. We've seen it, time and time again with a lot of people. And I'm just hoping that it's nothing serious. From what I understand, it could be his hip with Rey Fénix, and that he's just taking some time off or taking some time in between matches to heal up a little bit. If it is his hip, the hip does take a lot of damage during the matches, especially with somebody who does a lot of the high flying. So it is something that needs to be addressed from that perspective. But the fact of the matter is, I think Fénix is going to be okay. That there's nothing more to it. I think Fénix is going to be fine. It's not a serious injury, and we're not going to see the end of the Lucha Brothers as tag team champions. Simple as that. I don't think we'll see the end of the Lucha Brothers as tag team champions. Especially in Ring of Honor or AEW, because Ring of Honor has always been that company where people like the Lucha Brothers thrive. People like the Lucha Brothers thrive in Ring of Honor. But what I would say is, I think it may be getting to the point where the Lucha Brothers need to scale back their high-flying acumen, because it may be having an effect on at least Rey Fénix, even though I would also say, even though Penta is the older brother, Penta also doesn't do, I feel like, as much high-flying stuff as Rey Fénix does. I could be wrong, but I feel like Rey Fénix is the one doing the depth-defying leaps, and, Penta's more the calculated one. But either way, it may cause the Lucha Brothers to refine their style as far as, protecting themselves through long-term longevity, or for the long-term longevity of their character and their time in AEW. In the next news video, we will focus a little bit more on WWE. That's something I did want to do, where I basically, or start doing at least, I wanted to start splitting up the news videos if I could, to make it a little bit more conducive to where it flows a little bit better, having content on one company, content on another company, You know, and I think the way we did it in this video, it did flow a little bit better. Having content on AEW and Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling, rather than just content all over just content that's all over the place. But let me know down in the comment section below who you think will win tomorrow at Impact Wrestling Rebellion, and if between Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace, and of course Steve Macklin and Kushida, and if you think that Brian Cage sticking with AEW and Ring of Honor is the right decision for that beast and the golden boy of the embassy. Let me know down in the comment section below. And anything else and everything else that you want to speak about, let me know down in the comment section below, because the comments are open. And I will see you in the next video.